Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the book of Daniel chapter 4. We're on the laptop. Everything seems to be working fine. So we're going to film the video and we're going to see how it comes out. Hopefully the sound is good. I got a new microphone here that I like. It's working pretty well. So we're going to get into this. And if this works well, then we'll be doing all of these videos from here. Because we can get into greater detail. We're in chapter 4 of Daniel. The other 3 didn't need to do too much digging, but from this point on, about this point on, we're probably going to start getting into some research and looking at some other stuff. We'll see. You're going to hear noise in the background. This microphone's picking up really well, so you'll hear the neighbor's kids in the other room, the dogs barking. So let's get into this and let's see what we can find. Hopefully we don't have any problems here. Oh, it is showing the microphone is using. Okay, cool. All right. Daniel chapter 4. Nebuchadnezzar the king, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. Now, I remember in the last couple of chapters, Nebuchadnezzar got a real good reality check on the Lord and what he was doing. I thought it good to declare the signs and wonders that the Most High God has worked for me. He's giving his testimony, literally giving his testimony. How great are his signs, and how mighty his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. This is the speech of a person who has seen the light. This doesn't sound like he's just doing lip service. It sounds like he's really been affected by this, and this is good for his sake. Now Nebuchadnezzar has a second dream. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in my house and flourishing in my palace. Everything was great. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thoughts on my bed and the visions in my head troubled me. Therefore I issued a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known to me the interpretation of the dream. Then the magicians, the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers came in, and I told them the dream, but they did not make known to me its interpretation. But at last Daniel came before me. His name is Belshazzar, according to the name of my God. In him is the spirit of the holy God. And I told the dream before him, saying, Belshazzar, chief of the magicians, which he wasn't a magician, because I know that the spirit of the holy God is in you, and no secret troubles you, explain to me the visions of my dream that I have seen and its interpretations. Now here's the fun fact. If you remember, he never told anybody what his dream was. And all his people, we can't tell you your dream or interpret it. You need to tell us. They were going to make something up. Daniel told him the dream and told him the interpretation. These were the visions of my head while on my bed. I was looking, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong. Its height reached to the heavens, and it could be seen to the ends of all the earth. That's a big tree. That's a very big tree. Its leaves were lovely, its fruit abundant, and in it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it, the birds of the heavens dwelt in its branches, and all flesh was fed from it. I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed, and there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. Here's where you see in the Bible, as far as I know, the first mention of the watchers. And there's a great deal of study out there on the watchers. In fact, over here to the right of the screen above my picture, it should be above my picture, I can't see it, is the decree of the watchers from Daniel 4, 1 through 18. And we're not going to really get into that unless we get led to. We're going to focus on the chapter first. He cried aloud and said thus, chop down the tree and cut off its branches, strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts get out from under it and the birds from its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze in the tender grass of the field. Let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts on the grass of the earth. Now, a lot of people take this and go right over to the Devil's Tower, the big rock climbing thing out there, and say this used to be a giant tree. Now, to their credit, there are some things about it that make it look like a giant tree stump. And there are rock formations out around that area, way out around it, that are petrified wood, big old petrified tree branches. So to their credit, there's some validity to this, but this dream is actually referring to people, not an actual tree. Let his heart be changed from that of a man, Let him be given the heart of a beast, and let 7 times pass over him. This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. This is all New Testament talk. All this is talked about in the New Testament. This man knows something. Now, this dream kind of ends up being a negative for him. But then it ends up being a positive. What did we talk about this morning? And what are we going to talk about this evening? Same thing. Same scenario. The troubles bring us somewhere. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, verse 18, have seen. Now you, Belshazzar, declare its interpretation, since all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known to me the interpretation. But you are able, for the Spirit of the Holy God is in you. So, now, Nebuchadnezzar might be a little bit facetious here in what he's doing. He's showing off. He may be testing Daniel's again, testing God again. But this man, the speech he just made, this man speaks from somebody who's had an interaction with God and was changed by it. Verse 19. Then Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar, was astonished for a time, and his thoughts troubled him. So this dream amazed him. Well, he knew what the dream meant, and that's probably why he was astonished. So the king spoke and said, Belshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation trouble you. Belshazzar answered and said, My lord, may the dream concern those who hate you, and its interpretation concern your enemies. The tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached to the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely and its fruit abundant, in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches the birds of heaven had their home. It is you, O king. That tree was him, who have grown and become strong, for your greatness has grown and reaches to the heavens, and your dominion to the end of the earth. Now, immediately you would think he would go, uh-oh, because you remember what happens to the tree. But more than likely, he still had some pride in him that was well enough that he's like, oh, I'm the big tree. Look at me. Inasmuch as the king saw a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, chop down the tree and destroy it, but leave its stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze in the tender grass of the field. Let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let him graze with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king. Most likely, it might have been Jesus that sent that message. They shall drive you from men. Your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass like oxen. They shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. 7 times. What would that be? Seven times is 7 years. Seven times is 7 years. This is one of the secrets you can use to interpret some of the stuff that Daniel says later in his prophecies. People are like, well, when Daniel says, the 70th week is not a 7-year time frame. Yeah, it is, because we have another scripture proving scripture here proving that. Verse 26, and inasmuch as they gave the command to leave the stump and roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be assured to you, after you come to know that heaven rules. He still hasn't gotten to the point where he needs to be yet, but he's about to. I think we're going to see Nebuchadnezzar in heaven. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Perhaps they may be a lengthening of your prosperity. So here's the warning. Nebuchadnezzar, I care about you and worry about you. Repent. Verse 28, all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. And at the end of the 12 months, he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. I think at this time, the great gardens, the hanging gardens were there. I'm not sure. The king spoke, saying, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty? There's the pride that the Lord needs to deal with. While the word was still in the king's mouth, he's in the middle of the sentence, a voice fell from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you. And they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. He's going to correct his understanding here. That very hour, the word was fulfilled concerning Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men and ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. I imagine that was a sight. And all the people were watching it. Nebuchadnezzar restored. At the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High, and praise and honor him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, "Why have you done?" or "What have you done?" At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles restored to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol the honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth and his ways justice, and those who walk in pride he is able to put down. Nebuchadnezzar has come full circle in his understanding. The Lord has awakened him to the truth fully. In the beginning, he sounded pretty good, but the Lord finished the work he started in him and brought him around completely, showing him, I can take you out of this kingdom just as quickly as I put you in it. Now, where else have we seen the same scenario happen? The book of Job. We covered the book of Job. Same thing happened. Job was great, brought down low, brought back up and restored. See, the Lord does this. We may be something in life doing well and everything, but then the Lord brings us down. He brings us down to the place where we have nowhere else to look but up, and we start to realize, you know what? This isn't about me, and this isn't because of me. This is all about him and because of him. He did this with Nebuchadnezzar in the face of the people, right there where they could see it all. They witnessed this stuff happen to him. Imagine that was crazy. Imagine that was remarkable to witness. They saw all this unfold. Amazing. And what happened? He sounded real good in the beginning. That speech, very good. He's speaking the right words. At the end was understanding. And we all go through that. We talked about that this morning. I think it's no accident that we cover what we covered this morning about the trials that we go through, and what we're going to cover this evening similarly, and that we're doing Daniel chapter 4 today. We have an example in the Bible of that very thing. These trials, we will make it through them, but the Lord is doing something in us when he takes us through these. So we see that happening here. Incredible. Incredible to go right to the Bible and see an exact example of what we're enduring. Now, we haven't been turned into cows and wandered, crawling around on hands and knees, eating grass, acting a fool. But sometimes it feels like he brings us way down to that point. Sometimes it feels like he puts us out in the field. It's all to break our pride and to break our dependence on ourselves and off of this world, so that we look to him only. So that we rely on him only, so that we love him only. Not this world, not ourselves, and that we don't depend on ourselves and what we think we can do or what we can do. We depend completely on him, because he is God. This is all about him, and it's all to his glory. Guys, that was Daniel chapter 4. Not a lot of research there, but I'm glad the computer's working. Hopefully this keeps going. If you guys want, I can read the decree of the watchers over here and see what it has to say. How long is this? That's just a little bit. Nebuchadnezzar was in the zenith of his fame and power. His wars were over. His prosperity was assured. But he attributed all to his own wisdom and prowess. There was no thought of God, who had raised him up and given him everything. He must be humbled. If his soul was to be saved, and the whole living world must know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he pleases. Daniel 4:17. How gladly worldly men turn in hours of crisis to religious men who draw upon unseen resources. Remember what I told you guys? So here's another great example, a real life example. You walking to glorify God. You living in a way that glorifies God. You doing those things He gave you to do. Being that person you're supposed to be. Standing your ground, same person Saturday night you are Sunday morning. The unbeliever, when they come to that place where they're about to grow, they will come to you because they're going to remember. The Lord will remind them, that person has integrity. They won't lie to me, and they know the Bible. I'm going to go to them. What did Nebuchadnezzar do? Same thing. He was right there. The Lord was getting in his heart. He sent him to Daniel. Daniel's the guy. Go talk to him. How gladly worldly men turn in hours of crisis to religious men who draw upon unseen resources and bear themselves with calm and unruffled peace. Daniel 4:9. Amazing. The greatness of the king is set forth under the figure of a mighty tree, filling the earth and sheltering the nations. There was only one being who came down, combining in himself watchfulness and holiness. Who was that? That was Jesus Christ. Notice how there was only one being, capital B, who came down, combining in himself, capital H. It's Jesus. In Daniel 4:17, we learn that no destiny is decided apart from the careful sifting of the celestial council chamber. There was a council meeting about this in heaven. How august is this conception of the matured judgment of heaven? Where should we stand apart from the pleading of the great high priest? Makes sense. Makes sense. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this on the computer. These books, I can do them on my phone. It's better here because, like, I have Google open in case I need to go look something up. Just in case, because I want to cover more detail in this stuff. And I don't have this stuff on my other computer, and it's in the noisy room, and it's a big PC desktop. This is easier because I can come in the bedroom where it's quiet. So, even though we may go through some stuff, we know where it ultimately is going to lead, especially if we respond to it. And you know, the Lord's going to take us there. He's going to keep us there for a while. If we don't respond, He may let us go to our devices. Okay, if that's what you want, turn you over. Now, remember we talked about the smoking flax and the bruised reed. I think that's in evening devotion. Yeah, it's in evening devotion. You'll hear that later. You may be saved, but still be in that state of being a bruised reed. You're barely able to stand. A smoking flax, you barely have even an ember of your holy fire burning. And so the Lord isn't going to quench those things or break those things. He's going to restore those things. Here, Nebuchadnezzar, he was there, but he wasn't there. The Lord is like, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something, Nebuchadnezzar. I'm going to teach you something about me and about this and about you and about that I put you in this position. I'm going to take you out of it and I'm going to put you back in it again. I'm the one in control, not you. I imagine the whole time he was in that state, he's crawling around like, I don't want to be there. I want to go out of this. And so after that time, he realized, okay. The Lord's the one that did that. I can't bring myself out of it. I don't have control. He does. He's in control of everything. A police officer doesn't become a police officer by accident. A soldier doesn't become a soldier by accident. A president doesn't become a president by accident. God elects those people to those positions. They may not believe it, but we know it because that's what His Word says. Daniel was made chief of the musicians because the Lord put him in that position. Now, this was exile. They were all taken prisoner. The Lord put him in there to take care of him. Remember Joseph? Buried in the pit, and then somebody came and pulled him out, and he went into exile in Egypt. His brothers never thought he was dead. What happened? The Lord put him right hand to Pharaoh. We see his signature all over the earth. All the great megalith structures, Joseph's signature is there. Imhotep. A lot of people don't think that that's him. I believe that's him. His name is Imhotep. Or some people say Imhotep. The Lord takes those that are faithful and puts them in positions of great authority. And that doesn't mean we can't make mistakes, but He takes care of His people. Even in exile, He was taking care of His people. Doing great things. The children of Israel, when He rescued them in the Exodus, they went in with nothing. He brought them out with half of everything Egypt had. They were like 3 times richer when they came out of that stuff. That's amazing. So it just more and more examples of the providence of God. That even though in our worst scenarios, I mean, Daniel wasn't happy about this. He didn't want to be here. He was away from his home country. It was terrible for him. How amazing. We're away from our home country. It's terrible for us. But look at what the Lord did. The Lord used him mightily. And the Lord used him to bring those in authority around. We need to be praying for our leaders, our authority figures. We need to be standing in the gap. We need to be making intercession. We need to be those people that when the time comes, they will come and go, hey, you know what? I remembered that you were talking about this before. Can you tell me about this? Because I have questions, and this seems to be like hitting home for me. Can you help me understand? And they'll come to you and they'll ask you, just like Nebuchadnezzar. He didn't go to anybody else. He went to Daniel because the Lord proved Daniel and showed him who he was. What did Daniel do? He stayed humble. And then Nebuchadnezzar was humbled. Many incredible things happen when the people of God are put into positions that the Lord puts them in, because when we walk in faith, when we act on faith and trust God, the whole earth moves. The whole earth moves, and He's the one moving it for us. I love you guys, and I thank you all for watching Daniel 4. That's all. If this works fine, I'm going to upload it. We'll see how it goes. Then I will make sure and do this from now on. We'll see. You'll be watching this at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll see what happens. See you guys in the next video.